Hello, and welcome back to the Leading Yourself podcast. Last week, we talked about personal intention, about clarity and values, and designing a year that actually feels like yours. Today, we are zooming in on one specific area of your life that deserves that same level of intention, your career. Because here's the truth, and I want you to really hear this. If you don't have a plan for your career, someone else does. Your company has a plan, your manager has a plan, your industry has a plan, and the market definitely has a plan. And if you're not actively shaping your direction, you will end up reacting to theirs. Not because you're incapable, not because you lack ambition, but because careers don't drift upward by accident. They move in the direction of attention. So today, we're not talking about a 5-year plan or rigid roadmaps. We're talking about a strategic clarity, the kind that helps you make better decisions, have smarter conversations, and stop feeling like you're just hoping it works out. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear way to think about the next 12 months in your career, a simple framework to guide your decisions, and one concrete focus for quarter one that actually moves the needle. Let's begin. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves, those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. If career planning feels overwhelming and honestly unrealistic, you're not alone. I hear the same things again and again, especially from smart, capable, high-performing people. Things like, I'm just keeping up, or I don't even have the bandwidth to think about what's next, or I don't know what I want, so what's the point? Or what if I make the wrong move and I regret it? Or things like, I'll think about my career when things slow down. And I want to start by saying this very clearly. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not unmotivated. You're not lacking ambition. You're not behind. What's happening is deeper than that. So let's name it. First, we are exhausted. Most people are operating in constant state of reaction, meetings stacked back to back. Texts, Teams, Slack messages, emails, deadlines, family needs, life logistics, mental load. So when someone says you should really think strategically about your career, it feels like you want to laugh. Career planning starts to feel like a luxury, something reserved for people with more time or more space and fewer responsibilities. But here's the irony I see over and over again. When you don't think strategically about your career, everything feels heavier. Decisions take more energy. You second guess yourself. You say yes when you should say no. You stay in roles longer than you should because leaving feels too hard. Clarity doesn't add work. It removes friction. Second reason, we are afraid of choosing wrong. We treat career decisions like permanent tattoos. Like once you choose a path, that's it. No adjustments, no pivots, no second chances. So we wait. We research, we overthink, we ask someone for advice, we gather more data, more opinions, more reassurance, and we tell ourselves that we're being responsible. But most of the time, waiting isn't wisdom. It's fear dressed up as patience. Fear of regret, fear of judgment, fear of discovering that you might want something different than what you thought you were supposed to want. Here's what I've learned the hard way. Clarity does not fully arrive while you sit still. Clarity is created through engagement, through movement, through trying things and testing ideas and having conversations and making small reversible decisions. You don't think your way into clarity, you act your way into clarity. The third reason, many of us were never taught how to plan our careers intentionally. We were taught how to work hard, how to be dependable, how to meet expectations, how to perform. We were rewarded for output, not for direction. So most of us default to what I call accidental careers. We take the opportunities that are offered. We say yes because it seems logical. We follow the next step because it's available, not because it's aligned. I lived this. Earlier in my career, I was deeply reactive. I said yes because it felt responsible. I followed paths that make sense on paper. I trusted that if I worked hard enough, clarity would eventually show up and reward me. And sometimes it did. But other times I looked up and thought, how did I end up here? This isn't bad, but it's not quite what I wanted or I thought it would be. I worked so hard to get here, and why does it feel misaligned? The shift came when I stopped asking what is next for me and I started asking what am I intentionally building towards? That question changed everything because there's a huge difference between movement and momentum. Movement is about being busy. Momentum is moving with direction. Movement exhausts you while momentum carries you. And career planning isn't about locking yourself into a rigid plan. It's about giving your effort a direction to follow towards. That's what we're going to build together today. So now that we've named why career planning feels so hard, let's do something different. Let's build a career vision that feels realistic and grounded and useful. And we're not doing this for 5 years from now. We're not doing this for someday. We're going to be focusing on the next 12 months. Because 12 months is close enough to feel personal and far enough to create meaningful change. A year is long enough to grow, but not long enough that it becomes abstract and overwhelming. So as we go through this, I want you to imagine your life 1 year from today. Not in a fantasy kind of way. More, I'm talking about in a live-in way. Picture a normal week, a normal day, and let's start there. And I have some questions for you. The first one, where do you want to be in 12 months? And I want you to be very clear about something. I'm not asking for a title. I'm not asking for compensation. I'm not asking for status. I'm asking about the experience of your work. Ask yourself, how do I want my work to feel? Do I want more space, more stretch, more creativity, more influence? What kind of problems do I want to be solving? Do I want to be in the weeds or shaping direction? Do I want to be building things or improving them? Do I want to be leading people or going deep as an expert? How do I want to be spending my energy? Do I want my energy to go towards decision making, coaching, creating, aligning people, driving results? This question matters more than any job ever will. Because when you get this wrong, everything feels off, even if the role looks good. And when you get this right, a lot of things fall into place. Clarity here doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you direction. And direction is what turns effort into progress. So again, the question number 1 was, where do you want to be in 12 months? The second question I want you to think about, and feel free to pause myself as we go through this if you want to have a notebook next to you and be journaling on these things, or maybe you're just taking notes so you can do this exercise later by yourself. Okay, the second question that I want you to reflect on or journal on is, what skills do you want to build? Not the ones you already have, not the ones that got you here, the ones you want to be known for next. This is where most people stay passive. They let their role dictate what they learn. They let urgency dictate what they practice. Here's the truth. Your future opportunities are built on today's skill decisions. So ask yourself, what skills will make me more confident a year from now? Is it leadership, strategic thinking, influence, communication, decision making, coaching, AI? What are those? And what skills will stretch me in the direction I want to go, not just make me better at what I'm already doing? And here's something important. You don't need to master everything. You just need to choose. I would say 1 or 2 core skills, practice them consistently, and that will change your career trajectory more than 10 things you dabble in. Skill building is not about more effort, it's about intentional focus. Moving on to the third question, what relationships matter most? This part is critical, and often it's overlooked. Careers are not built alone. They are built through relationships, not networking in a traditional way, but real connection, trust, and visibility. So I want you to ask yourself, what do I need to learn from this year? Who is already doing the kind of work that I want to be doing and could offer perspective? Who needs to understand my goals more clearly? Who could advocate for me if they actually knew what I was building towards? Because here's the thing, opportunities don't go to the most talented person in the room. They go to the person people trust, remember, and understand. Visibility matters, but so does credibility. And relationships are how both are built. If no one knows what you'd want, they can't help you get there. The fourth question I have for you, what do you want to be known for? This question is powerful and it requires a lot of honesty. Imagine someone describing you professionally 1 year from now, not in a performance review, in a casual conversation. What would you want them to say? This is your professional reputation. And here's what most people don't realize. Your reputation is being shaped whether you're intentional about it or you're not. Every meeting, every decision, every boundary, every moment you speak up or you stay quiet, you get to choose whether your story is accidental or is designed. When you're clear on what you want to be known for, your decisions start to align naturally. You say yes to the right things, you say no to distractions, you show up differently without forcing it. So let's bring this all together. As you walk through this framework, I want to offer one important reminder. Do not rush this. This is not about getting it perfect. There are no gold stars for everything. This is about getting it clear enough. Clear enough to guide your decisions, clear enough to shape your energy, clear enough to help you recognize opportunities when they show up. You're not locking yourself into anything. You're giving yourself a compass. And when you have a compass, you don't need certainty. You just need to keep moving. Now, let's bring this down to earth, because a clear vision without action is just a nice idea. And action without direction is just movement. So what we want is momentum. This is where quarterly planning comes in. I love thinking in 90-day sprints, not because life fits neatly into quarters. It doesn't. But because 90 days is long enough to make real progress and short enough to stay focused. It gives you urgency without panic, structure without that rigidity. So instead of asking, what am I doing this year? I want you to ask a much simpler and more powerful question. What is one meaningful career move I will make this quarter? Not 5 things, not 10 things, 1. And this part matters. So let me say it again. 1 meaningful move. Because when everything is a priority, nothing is. So your one focus for the quarter should feel slightly uncomfortable, clearly aligned with your 12-month vision, and doable and not overwhelming. This is not about overhauling your entire career in 90 days. It's about placing one strong intentional break in the direction you want to go. Here are just some examples of what that might look like. Maybe your one move is initiating a career conversation, a conversation with your manager or a mentor or a leader that you respect. Not to ask for something immediately, but to clarify your direction, your interest, and your goals. Maybe your one move is building a specific skill, not vaguely getting better, but intentionally practicing something that supports where you're headed. Maybe it's expanding your visibility, speaking up more, sharing your thinking, raising your hand for work that aligns with what you want to be known for. Maybe it's exploring a new path quietly, researching, having low pressure conversations, testing interest without announcing a big change. Or maybe it's strengthening one key relationship, being more intentional, more consistent, more present. Any of these done well can shift your career trajectory. The goal here is not speed. The goal is directional movement. Start conversations earlier than you think. That would be one advice I want to put out today. Because here's something that I wish more people understood. Your career opportunities are not created when they appear. They're created months before through conversations, through trust, through consistency, through clarity. By the time an opportunity shows up on paper, someone has already been watching. Someone has already knows what you're interested in. Someone already sees you as capable. Someone already trusts your judgment. If your quarter includes conversations, and for most of us it should, start them earlier than it feels necessary. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be honest and intentional. You can say things like, I'm thinking more intentionally about where I want to grow this year, or I'm exploring how I can make even more impact in this area, or I would love your perspective as I think about my next steps. Those conversations plant seeds, and seeds take time to grow. Now, let's talk about tracking. This is where people often go wrong. They either don't track anything at all, or they turn it into a performance review they conduct on themselves every week. You don't need a complex system. What you need is awareness. So here's just an idea. Once a month or even once a quarter, ask yourself, am I moving closer to my vision or further away from it? What's working? What's giving me energy? What feels misaligned? What needs adjustment? Progress is not something to judge. It's something to listen to. Feedback is data, not proof that you're failing, just information. And when you treat it that way, you stay flexible, you adapt, you course correct without spiraling. Quarterly planning is not about pressure. It's about agency. It's about shifting from reacting to your career to practicing it intentionally. You're not trying to control everything. You're choosing where to place your attention and your effort on purpose. And when you do that consistently, quarter by quarter, something powerful happens. You stop feeling stuck. You stop feeling like time is passing to you. And you start feeling like you're actually building something. Even when the changes are subtle. One quarter, one move, one conversation, one decision at a time. That's how careers are shaped. Not in a big dramatic leap, but in intentional, repeatable steps. Before we close, I want to name a few things that tend to get in the way, because clarity is powerful, but only if we protect it. The first pitfall is over planning without action. This one is sneaky. It looks responsible. It sounds smart. It feels productive. But strategy without movement is just procrastination dressed up in good intentions. You don't need another color-coded plan. You don't need one more framework. You don't need to think about this for 6 more months. At this point, clarity has to turn into action, even if it's imperfect action. because planning is meant to support momentum, not to replace it. If you notice yourself constantly redefining the plan but never moving forward, that's your cue. It's time to do something small, real, and concrete. The second pitfall is not telling anyone. I see this all the time. People say things like, I don't want to jinx it, or I'll talk about it once it's real. But careers don't grow in silence. Your goals don't need to be broadcasted. You don't need to post them online or announce them in a meeting, but they do need to be shared strategically with one or two people that you trust, with someone who has context, with someone who could support you, guide you, or advocate for you. When no one knows what you're working towards, no one can help you get there. Visibility doesn't mean being loud. It means being clear with the right people. And the third pitfall is waiting for permission. This one is big because many of us are still waiting for someone to tap us on the shoulder and say, you're ready now. You're allowed to want more. You can take the next step. But the truth is, that moment rarely comes. No one is going to hand you certainty. No one is going to remove all the risk. No one is going to guarantee the outcome. You decide when you're ready enough. You decide when it's time to move. You decide when to stop waiting. Confidence is not something you earn before you act. It's something that you build by acting. And next week, we're going to bring these two lenses together, personal intention and career strategy, because alignment is where real confidence is built. So let me leave you with this. Your career won't manage itself. And hoping, it's not a strategy. Strategic doesn't mean rigid. It doesn't mean locking yourself into one path. It doesn't mean having every answer. It means being intentional. It means deciding to participate in your career instead of letting it happen to you. And the best time to plan your next move is before you need it. Before you're burnout, before you're frustrated, before you feel stuck or resentful. If you want support with this, inside the Patreon community, I'm sharing my complete career planning template, the exact one I use with people that I coach. It walks you through this process step by step, your 12-month vision, your quarterly focus, and the conversations that move things forward. You can join by using the link on the show notes of this podcast episode. I will also put some information, as I mentioned last week, on career coaching, which I am opening 5 spots this year, only 5. So if you think that this is an area that you want to focus on in 2026, your career, and you need support to guide you to gain that clarity and put that plan together and execute that plan, maybe you want to check that out. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to think intentionally about your career, because that alone puts you ahead of where you were yesterday. And of course, as always, thank you for leading yourself. I'll see you here next week. Have an amazing week ahead. Okay, my friend, that's all I've got for you today. But before you go, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, if we're not already friends on Instagram, let's get connected. You can find me as Leading Yourself Podcast. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am incredibly grateful that you're in this journey with me. I want to leave you with one last thought. I want to remind you that you're destined for more, and that every step that you take brings you closer to becoming that best version of yourself. Embrace each day as a chance to learn, grow, and chase your dreams. The world needs you to shine brightly, so go out and show up fully and authentically. Take care, and I'll see you next time.